What if I told you something almost nobody has ever considered? That millions of people have been reciting Psalm 23 their entire lives. Yet they've been missing the explosive secret hidden inside every line. Not because the words are wrong, but because the understanding behind them has been incomplete. Because the power inside this psalm is far greater than most believers ever realize. Psalm 23 isn't just comforting poetry. It's a spiritual blueprint, a step-by-step transformation that rewires how your soul responds to fear and pressure. Most people read the line, "The Lord is my shepherd," and feel warm and safe. They picture a quiet scene, a soft field, a gentle caretaker. They imagine a God who whispers peacefully instead of a God who fights fiercely. But shepherds in biblical times were not gentle poets sitting under trees. They were warriors. They were armed defenders standing between their flock and everything that wanted to destroy it. They carried clubs carved with metal spikes and slings capable of killing predators in a single strike. They were trained to confront danger before danger ever reached the sheep. So when David says, "The Lord is my shepherd," he's not describing tenderness, he's describing protection. He's describing a God who steps into battles you don't even see coming. David knew this because he lived it. 1 Samuel 17 tells us that as a teenager, he killed a lion and a bear with his own hands to protect sheep that weren't even his. So imagine this. If David fought that hard for animals, how much harder does God fight for you? His child, his creation, his beloved. But this is only the beginning, because the structure of Psalm 23 is intentional. It's written in a pattern Hebrew scholars call the progression of trust, a gradual deepening of confidence in God. Each verse moves your soul a little further. Each line breaks one more link of fear. Each statement trains your mind to think differently about your circumstances. That's why David begins with, "I shall not want." We often read that as, "I don't need more stuff." But the Hebrew meaning goes far deeper. It declares, "I will not lack what I need to fulfill my purpose." Not lack money, not lack strength, not lack clarity, courage, or direction. David is saying, "My shepherd already knows what my purpose requires. My shepherd already knows what tomorrow demands. My shepherd has already prepared what I haven't even prayed for yet." Jesus echoed this in Matthew chapter 6, verse 26. He said, "Look at the birds of the air. They don't sow or reap or build storage barns, and yet God feeds them every day. Birds don't pray. Birds don't plan. Birds don't worry. And God still provides." So Jesus asks the question that pierces straight through anxiety. Are you not much more valuable than they? If God takes care of creatures who can't even speak to him, why would he abandon you who carries his image? Then David continues, "He makes me lie down in green pastures." This sounds gentle, but it's actually a psychological revelation. Sheep do not lie down unless they feel absolutely safe. If there is even a whisper of danger, they remain standing and alert. Their bodies physically cannot relax until fear is removed. David is saying something profound. He is saying, "God calms my nervous system. He brings my body into peace even when my surroundings haven't changed." Sheep also refuse to rest when hungry, thirsty, fearful, or in conflict with other sheep. Yet David says God meets all four needs before they become overwhelming. He feeds you before hunger grows, provides before thirst intensifies, protects before fear invades, and brings peace before conflict erupts. Then David says, "He restores my soul." But the Hebrew word for restore does not simply mean heal. It means to retrieve, to bring back, to recover something that was lost. David is saying, God doesn't just soothe your pain. He recovers the parts of you you thought were gone forever. He retrieves joy, hope, identity, strength, even when life tried to steal them. You see this truth in Peter's story, the disciple who denied Jesus 3 times. Yet Jesus restored him with 3 invitations to declare his love, 1 for each failure. Then David says, "He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." Righteousness here does not mean moral perfection. It means the right path that leads you to the place God intended for you all along. God guides you even when you don't recognize the path. God directs your steps even when you feel lost. God is committed to your destination even when you question the journey. Then everything shifts. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Notice David does not say if, he says though. Hard seasons are not optional. Dark valleys are not rare. Uncertain moments are guaranteed for every human soul. The Hebrew phrase, shadow of death, literally means a valley of deep darkness. A place where visibility disappears. A season where you cannot see what comes next. We face valleys like this all the time. Job interviews, medical scans, relationship fractures, financial pressure. Moments where your heart whispers, I can't see what's ahead. But then David makes the most important shift in the entire psalm. He stops talking about God, and he starts talking to God. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This is the turning point, because in the valley, God becomes personal. Not an idea or a distant
protector
concept standing beside you in the darkness. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The rod was a weapon used to strike predators with deadly force. The staff was a guiding tool used to pull sheep back from danger. So God does 2 things simultaneously. He fights enemies you can't see, and he redirects you when you start drifting into danger. This is the same God who split the Red Sea. The same God who told Moses, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." The same God who opens paths through impossible situations. Then David says something surprising. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. God does not eliminate enemies. He embarrasses them. He blesses you in full view of those who doubted you. He strengthens you while those who opposed you watch helplessly. He turns your life into a testimony they cannot deny. Daniel experienced this in the lion's den. His enemies planned his destruction. God turned it into a global proclamation of his power. You anoint my head with oil. To shepherds, oil was medicine. It healed wounds, soothed infections, and protected sheep from insects that could burrow into their skin. David is saying God doesn't just bless you, he heals what hurt you. He protects you from what tries to attach itself to you. My cup overflows. Overflowing meant abundance beyond personal need. It meant you were blessed so deeply that others were blessed just by being near you. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. But the Hebrew word for follow doesn't mean trail behind slowly. It means to pursue, to chase, to run after with intention. Goodness is not passive. Mercy is not distant. They are actively chasing you down every day of your life, even when you wander, even when you fail, even when you question everything you know. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. David isn't talking about heaven. He means he carries God's presence everywhere he goes. He lives with God, walks with God, moves with God. Then David reveals the secret. Psalm 23 is not a soft prayer. It is a declaration. David doesn't ask God to be his shepherd. He declares that God already is. He speaks the truth before he sees the result. Psalm 23 has been recited at funerals, weddings, hospital rooms, and battlefields for generations. Not because it is poetic, but because it is supernatural. It trains your soul. It strengthens your inner world. It teaches you how to live undefeated, regardless of what life throws your way. And every time you speak it, you realign your spirit. You remind your fear who your shepherd is. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to Beyond Genesis. Share this with someone who needs solid, biblical insight in their daily walk. God bless you.